Welcome back to another F1 22 gameplay video. Today we're going to be taking on the Imola GP, driving as our boy Lance Stroll from the back of the grid in that beautiful Aston Martin. As you can see now, we're lining up on the grid for the brand new immersive pit stops. We need to line up our car. We're going to point slightly to the left to find that gap and get it absolutely perfectly stopped in our box. We're lining up to the left so we can maybe aim for that middle gap between Schumacher, Latifi and Albon. We get a 5 red lights and it is lights out and away we go. And it's a fairly good start from ourselves and it's lined up perfectly. We haven't had to turn the wheel too much and we nearly go for that gap, but then Albon closes it off for us. So we go to the outside line down in towards turn 1. Late on the brakes, as yellow flag, huge crash there as Yuki Tsunoda is out of the Imola GP before it's even begun. Virtual safety car has been deployed. Unfortunately, we did lose out those positions to Latifi and Albon as they broke a little bit later than us going up the inside. Let's have a look at a replay of what happened on board with Yuki, and he just goes way too deep on the brakes, a little bit too late. A bad mistake from the AI there, and of course Yuki Tsunoda. But it's great to see that the AI are making more mistakes in this game, because that just makes your races on F1 22 completely unpredictable, which is great to see as we go for a move up the inside of Zhou Guanyu into the final couple of corners. It gives me a little bit of contact there on the right-hand side as we've got Vettel into the pit lane, a few others, I believe, also coming into pits, including Esteban Ocon there. And now we move up into P15, checking our vehicle condition because we had that slight contact. We are on simulation damage here. So we've got another yellow flag down into turn 1. Zhou completely ignores the yellow flag, goes for the overtake. It's a great move up the inside. I was a little bit frustrated because it was a yellow flag, so I just didn't expect him to make that position. But Lewis Hamilton has been put into the gravel somehow. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that in a minute. But at the moment, Alex Albon is going for a move on his teammate. Goes up the inside of Nicholas Latifi into the hairpin, but the move is not done yet. Nicholas Latifi holding it on the right-hand side compared to his teammate. They go side by side through the left-hander. And it looks like Albon is going to complete this move. But whilst those two are battling, that allowed us to catch up. And Zhou going for the inside line. We're going to go right around the outside of Aqua Mineral. And it is a fantastic move there on the outside of Zhou. We move up into P14 once again, taking back that position after he illegally took it from us under the yellow flags. But now we're watching a replay of what happened in that instance. So Lewis Hamilton goes on the attack of Esteban Ocon, goes right around the outside into turn 1. And kind of just turned in a little bit too much there on Esteban Ocon. I feel like Ocon did actually leave him enough room, but Hamilton wanted to take more, turned into the side of him and lost it himself. As we're now on the back of Nicholas Latifi here on lap 3. We're going to go for an audacious dive bomb up the inside into the hairpin, and we complete it. Again, a little bit of contact between myself and Latifi. I think we've been quite lucky with contact in this race. There's been very much will to will between the two of us. We're now watching Charles Leclerc go for a lunge up the inside of Max Verstappen, pulls it off, but gets on the throttle way too early, and that has caused him to go for a spin. Verstappen's been caught up in that. He's going backwards as they're all coming, and now we've got an Alfa Romeo into the side of the Red Bull driver. We try to be sneaky and go for the overtake on Albon here as we get thrown a little bit of front wing into our face. Luckily for the halo that it protected us from that. But we're P11. Let's have a look at a replay of what happened at Valtteri Bottas. He just goes way too fast with the yellow flags. And Max Verstappen, nothing really he could have done in that situation. But before we get back into racing under this safety car period, currently 92.5% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to see more F1 22 content when the game comes out, make sure you subscribe. Now back into the racing again. We're right behind Alexander Albon as the safety car is coming in this lap. Look how close we are behind that Williams driver. So we're going to try and get the best line out of the final corner and see if we can get a jump on these guys. But what we noticed quite early on in this race is the setup that we are using. We went for default setup 2 here, was not the right setup to be using because these guys so much faster than us in a straight line. It means that if we want to make an overtake, we're going to have to do it in the corners, which was just settling behind Alexander Albon at the moment. But we get a great run out of that left hand. We go side by side with Albon into the left hand, into this next chicane, but we can't quite get the job done. So again, we go for the switchback on Albon. He doesn't give me room. He's not entitled to, but we force our way around the outside, and it actually forces Albon into a mistake. He makes contact with Schumacher, and it allowed us to nearly have a little look around the outside of Schumacher there. We also make a little bit of contact with Schumacher, but luckily we do get away with that, and we move up into 9th position for the time being. But now following Schumacher through Aqua Mineral, we heard over the team radio that Schumacher does have an issue with his car, so an overtake shouldn't be too difficult here on the Haas drivers. Go round the outside into the chicane. Schumacher squeezing us as much as he possibly can, but we just about managed to find the room, and we move up into 8th position here on lap 7 of the Grand Prix. Sergio Perez currently leads the way, but has made a mistake completely on his own once again. The AI making mistakes on their own, which for me is great to see, because look at how unpredictable this race is. We're up in a 7th. We've got Magnussen in 6th, Ricciardo 5th. You've got, I think, Verstappen is up there still. You've still got Russell up there. You've got Alonso and Gasly currently up there as well. As we go around the outside of Kevin Magnussen into the hairpin. It's a good move from us. If we can pull it off, we go round the outside through the fast left hand. Again, holding it wheel to wheel. But unfortunately for Magnussen, we just have the better flowing line through the corner, and it allows us to hold that position. Let's have a look at, though, on board with Esteban Ocon as he goes up the inside of Nicholas Latifi. And the two of them come together. Nicholas Latifi, who just about missed out on a podium last time around at the Austrian Grand Prix that we did. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be getting a podium here today. But we are on board with ourselves following Ricciardo, Verstappen, Gasly. There's contact again between Verstappen and Gasly. I think Verstappen has completely lost his front wing. I'm calling it now. We were ahead of Daniel Ricciardo here. Why we have to give back this position under safety car? We overtook him. It was millimeters in front, but I still count it. But the safety car has been deployed. We had to give back the position to Daniel Ricciardo as we take a look at a replay now of what happened between Gasly and Verstappen. So Gasly on the inside line, and again just forced over those curbs, bounces over it, can't turn in as much as he usually would be able to, and unfortunately for him makes the contact with Max Verstappen, which gives him front wing damage. Luckily for everyone though, they're all deciding to come into the pits for hard tyres. We've been told there's rain on the way, and it is coming very, very shortly, so we decided not to pit at all. It does mean now that we are leading this race. We've got Fernando Alonso in 2nd, Russell's in 3rd, Magnussen is going to be, Gasly's in 4th, then Magnussen in 5th. What a race this is turning out to be as we are tucking up behind the safety car right now for this race. 12 laps into it, the second safety car period. And look at that on screen. The rain is now starting to come down. I don't know how long it's going to be until it gets wet enough for intermediate conditions. It was only one small block of rain in this race, and it's only taken a lap. We're coming into the pits for intermediate tyres, as that is what the team has suggested as we come into the box now to select those intermediate tyres, get them put on. Obviously a new feature again is the turning in for the pit box, so we're going to time it perfectly once again, pressing that button, getting the optimal, getting the fastest pit stop that we possibly can. A 2.4 second stop, but it wasn't enough to not get held up in this traffic. It wasn't because the light just did not go green for us. We could not go out of the pit box because unfortunately all these drivers were coming through, and I think it might have been maybe Alex Albon was the Williams driver that ahead of us that was the last one that stopped us, unfortunately, and maybe Kevin Magnussen as well. So despite jumping everybody for not pitting for those hard tyres, we have lost out and we're now down into 7th again. But good thing we didn't pit on the same lap as those guys for those hard tyres, because we would have been even further down the field. So yeah, we'll take it for the time being. We're back behind Ricciardo, but we know we can fight him as the race is underway once again. We're going right around the outside into the Ravazza here. Can we hold it on Ricciardo? We can, right around the outside. Again, Ricciardo just pinned onto that inside line, and we make the move stick around the outside and up into P5. As now we go on the hunt of the Haas driver of Kevin Magnussen down into the hairpin once again. Going to tuck up right behind him, and at the last possible moment, dive it up the inside on Kevin Magnussen to make a move for P4 in this race. The podium positions are in our sights, but these guys are slightly faster than us as we're watching a battle unfold between former teammates Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, Max Verstappen having that front wing damage earlier on. Now on a bit of a comeback drive, goes wheel to wheel with Ricciardo, but Ricciardo gets a better drive out of turn 2 and holds the position still. A great battle between these two drivers. Good respect, a little bit of wheel to wheel action, but no damage at the moment. Max Verstappen, though, comes back at him, but Ricciardo closes the door on that inside apex. So Max Verstappen again has to go the long way round into turn 1. Again, there's contact between the two of them. Who's going to come out on top as they come through turn 3? It is Ricciardo still holding onto his line, but I believe, unfortunately for Ricciardo, he did get damage, which means we're now watching Alexander Albon 1 lap later, and now Charles Leclerc is also getting involved in the battle. They go 3 wide down in towards turn 1. Leclerc around the outside, he's forced off the track, but winds his way back onto it just about, and takes the position, moves up into P6, but gets awful traction off of the corner, which allows Max Verstappen to retake the corner. Maybe even Alexander Albon as well. They go wheel to wheel through the second chicane into the hairpin now. Alex on the inside of the Ferrari driver. Can Leclerc get the traction on the outside of the corner? He gets forced onto the curb, loses that traction, but the greater straight line speed that the Ferrari has over the Williams gives it a bit of an advantage into the left-hander, but Albon on the inside line. He comes back at him. He's now going to have the outside line into Aqua Mineral. Can Leclerc hold it on the inside? No, he can't. Albon much braver around the outside, but Leclerc just sticks his nose in once again up the inside into the corner, and that is job done. Charles Leclerc takes position, but Zhou Guanyu now having a look on Albon around the outside of the chicane. Can't quite get the move stick and has to settle for P9 for the time being. But great AI battles so far on F1 22, which is lovely to see. We're on lap 25 at the moment, setting behind George Russell in the Mercedes cars. We're all looking to come into the pits now for a set of dry tyres. You can see the track's dried out. It stopped raining about 3 or 4 laps ago, so the track took a while to go to the dry conditions, but we are there now, and we're going to be coming into the pits. Again, trying to time that pit stop, which we do perfectly. We get the optimal one, which again will get us the fastest pit stop possible. It's a 2.6, and once again held up in the box, this time for the Haas driver of Kevin Magnussen, which is really frustrating. We're right behind Russell. We've lost about 2 to 3 seconds now to the Mercedes driver, and Magnussen is right at our tail. What was really tricky for me as well, as soon as I came out of the box, my tyres were stone cold. Of course, everyone's are going to be, as Latifi shoots up in a P4. Unfortunately, he still does have to pit, so it's not going to be a replica of the Austria race. But look at our tyre temps there. Blue, stone cold at the moment. Obviously, everyone's tyres are going to be in this situation, but I just felt like it took a lot longer for my tyres to heat up compared to the AI, which was a little bit unfortunate. Lost me a lot of time. We're now having this battle, Esteban Ocon versus Alexander Albon. It looks like Albon in the Williams was able to take the fight to these guys, the midfielders and the front runners, in the wet stage of the race, because overtaking is so difficult, and the Williams is kind of neutralized in the wet, but in the dry, the Red Bull is just absolutely rapid. Look at them making mincemeat of Alexander Albon round the outside of that chicane. They hold it wheel to wheel though. It's like 2 by 2 here into the chicane. We've got a great 4-way battle for P7 at the moment. Sergio Perez wheel to wheel with Albon. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen wheel to wheel as well. Looks like Sergio Perez is going to hold the move. Is he up the inside? Yes, he does. But Albon's still putting his nose up there. But Max Verstappen, so brave around the outside. An incredible move there from the Flying Dutchman to move up into P8. And now Charles Leclerc is going to make an easy overtake as well very soon on Alexander Albon as they go through the chicane now. And unfortunately, Albon just falling through the positions at the moment. We're now watching lap 30. George Russell versus Pierre Gasly in towards turn 1. Russell having a little look up the inside into the chicane, goes a little bit too deep, but then makes contact with Gasly as he forces him over the curb. Gasly hops over it, can't control his car as well as he could if he was left room, and unfortunately that's put him into the direction of George Russell's car, and I believe that Russell now has damage on the front wing. But this battling is perfect for me. We were 5 seconds down the road, had no chance of catching these two drivers, but they're holding each other up as Gasly again goes for a look on George Russell round the outside of the left-hander. Can he pull off the move? It looks like he can. He's gone off the track ever so slightly as Russell comes back at him now. They go wheel to wheel into Aqua Mineral. The outside line looking like the better line through that corner as again Russell regains the position. But like I say, this battling is perfect for us. We've managed to get the gap down to just under 2 seconds on Gasly as Russell comes into the pits with 2 laps left to go. The gap is 1.6. If we can just about get in DRS, which we can do, 1 lap later, we can maybe have the opportunity to go for the attack on Gasly. Now, we're not using any overtake at this point. We're running really low on the battery anyway, but we know that our best chance is through the final sectors. Where most of the corners are is where our car is more tuned to that stage of the circuit. We're better in the corners than in the straights because of the setup that we have got on today. So flying into Aqua Mineral now for the final time in this F1 22 race. We are so close to the back of Pierre Gasly as we go into the chicane, taking so much curb on the inside to get as close as we possibly can. Look at how close we are to the rear end of that Alpha Tauri car. Going down now into the Ravazza. It's going to have to be a big dive bomb, and it is. We nearly overextend ourselves. Luckily, Gasly leaves us just about enough room, but what a move to take away P2 in this race and finish on the podium for the Imola GP. That is going to do for this F1 22 video. Make sure you check out the other videos that I've made on the end screen right now and in the links in the description.